Kev, quick question before we say hello to everyone today. By 2050, there will be 2.1 billion people on Earth aged over 60.
Okay, so almost everybody.
Well, not quite, but statistically, that's 1 in every 4 humans on Earth. And it's projected that it'll be 1 in 3 in Europe and North America. So statistically, you're a founding member. We're both founding members now. How do you feel about that?
Not great, to be honest.
Because?
I don't want to be that old.
I don't know, me neither. I don't think I want to be around in 2050. So, welcome back to When the Fight Does I Become Old, the fun, edgy and unapologetically honest podcast about the experiences of aging. Where, as the name suggests, nothing is off the table. And I'm your host, Joe Parker.
And I'm Kev.
And we're talking about being old.
We are.
Yeah.
So when you were a kid then,
yeah,
what did you think old was? Or when did you think old was?
So when I was a kid, I looked at people in their 30s and thought they were old, really old. And actually, when I was a kid, my mum, more than my dad, looked old because she was of that permed hair style, pleaty skirt things and, you know, pearls and...
So not quite Hilda Ogden, but, you know, not far off.
No, not Hilda Ogden, slightly more sophisticated than Hilda Ogden, right. but Hyacinth Bouquet, you know, that sort of like we're dressed like an old lady way before we're old.
Right. So when I was a kid, I think I'd buy the 30 thing. I definitely thought 30 was old. I can remember being a kid and thinking, when I'm a grown up, which I thought was 30, I thought when I'm 30, I'm going to have a BMW, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. And I had a picture
as a child?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't mean as like a 5-year-old child, but like in my teens.
Okay.
And I thought 30 was like, that was old and seriously grown up. So what age now do you think is old?
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Is it still 30?
No, it's not still 30. So it moves for me. And I think old isn't necessarily now an age.
Well, so given you and I are not old.
Well, we are to some people.
Like, we don't see ourselves old. So when do you think you're going to be old?
Well,
what age do you have to be old?
I don't know, mid-70s. But I think it will depend on how I'm functioning as well as to whether or not I think or how people are functioning as to whether or not they're old. Because you've got a mate who's mid-60s who's had a stroke and he looked older than he did before the stroke. But we would say mid-60s is not old anymore. So I think it depends on how your body functions as well as to whether or not it's we're perceived as old.
Okay.
What about your answer? I mean, what do you think old is now?
So I think 70.
70. That doesn't give us very long.
No, I know. But I think I would think 70 was old.
Okay,
I don't think it's the end of the world. But I just think it's old.
70.
But anyway,
okay.
So this question of when is old, right, is something that's been recently surveyed. So everybody has a different answer. So Ipsos have done a thing called Attitudes to Aging. Mm-hmm. It was a big survey, ran last year, nearly 24,000 people.
Wow, that is a big survey.
Around the world, right? And what they found, it was in 32 countries they did this. So they tried to make it representative, you know, of different cultural expectations. But they found that the answer was essentially generational.
All right.
Right. So let's start with the boomers then, right? So these are people born 1946 to 64. So when you ask that question of that population, the average answer of a boomer was 72 is old. You ask the same question of Gen X, who were born 65 to 1980, and you say, okay, when do you think old age actually begins?
Yeah.
Yeah. They say 68.
Oh God, we're doomed.
Right. But that's because they're younger.
I know.
So the point is that you're looking at something and you're going, how far away is it? Something sufficiently far away from me will be the answer.
Yeah.
Then you move down to millennials, right? So they're born 81 to 96.
Mm-hmm.
So your youngest millennial is 30.
Yeah.
And your oldest is 45
yeah.
currently. Right? So millennials' view on when old age starts, 65. So that's before pension age.
It is now, yeah. 65.
Yeah, 67 is current pension age. So, but millennials think that old age starts at 65. Now, of course, then you go down to Gen Z. They think old age starts at 61.
Wow.
So, so quite a sort of a graduated view there.
Yeah, that's our kids think we're old.
Yeah, it's already happened.
Yeah, it's already happened.
It's already happened for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, in their eyes. But,
so I read somewhere that now people don't think there's no age is too old to get married, or to start a degree, or to change what you're doing in later life.
Right, so you're right. And when people were surveyed to the point about age, when they were surveyed, it's well, okay, if that's when you think old age begins, is there an age, that is too old to get married?
Right.
And 62% of people said no, there's no age.
So it was the Ipsos thing that you handed me that I read.
Yeah.
It's great.
And and when asked question, is it ever are you ever too old to start a degree? 54% of people said no, you're never too old to start a degree. So the perception of capability and the perception of age quite conflicting in that regard. But so thinking about capabilities and age, obviously marrying, starting a degree, people are going, no, you can do that
whenever you want.
I mean, actually, my brother started his degree.
Well, he wasn't 60. He's not even 60
No, I'm trying
now.
to think now. So probably like 55 plus, though.
No.
What?
Because he's only just finished it, and he's...
Yeah, but it was Open University. That was, what, 4+ years or something?
Okay. Early 50s, I would say.
How old is he now?
He's going to be 59, so he's 58.
Okay, so it'd be early 50s, right?
Early 50s.
But early 50s, he started the degree, right?
Absolutely.
So let's think now about the other end of the scale, 80.
Right.
Right. And what you think you can do at 80.
Okay.
What can you think of that you would say, I guarantee you I will still 100% be doing this at 80? Or I'll be making sure that I try and do this at 80.
Okay. Well, can I ask you that question first so I can think about it?
If you want. So I've got one thing.
Go on.
Driving.
Right.
Like when I think about what would I be like at 80, there are many things I cannot ascribe any certainty to at all.
Right.
The only thing I would ascribe certainty to is that I'll be fucking driving.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is that my uncle and aunt, my only surviving uncle and aunt, I had more than one, but my only surviving uncle and aunt are just over 80 and they're driving. Right?
Well, your parents, when did they stop?
Right. So my mum and dad stopped driving at 80.
Why?
So they so different motivations. So dad, his eyesight was getting a little bit worse because he had cataracts.
Right.
And he did occasionally sideswipe a bus with around the one-way system
with the
in
car
Kingston.
On mum's side.
Yeah, on the passenger side. And mum was obviously not, there's a lot of shouting and screaming used to go on in that car.
Yeah.
So she got really pissed off with the fact that he wasn't judging distance to the left-hand side, which is he had the cataract on the left-hand side. So he was judging distance on the right-hand side fine. The left-hand side, which is where
putting her life
traffic on the inside lane was, not so good. So buses quite often on the left-hand side there, and there was a couple of those. So she got quite upset about that and basically said to him, "You're too bloody dangerous. I'm not going to let you drive." So she drove for quite a bit.
Right.
But again, stopped at 80 because, my mum as a passenger is possibly the world's worst car passenger.
Right.
Like she's just the backseat driver supreme. Just the most annoying person you could possibly be in the car. So then when you take her out of the passenger seat and you put her in the driver's seat, Dad, who had been the main driver in the family, not happy about not driving.
Understandably.
Not happy about Mum's driving.
Didn't like the way she drove.
No, because she was a bit more cautious. than he was. So he was, she was like driving Miss Daisy type thing, So then there would be some friction there, right? Which meant that Mum got really stressed because Dad was giving her a hard time driving, right? Now, unfortunately, she and her mother all had like high blood pressure. So then she's got high blood pressure and she's super stressed. So she got too stressed to drive.
Right.
Because of the dynamic with Dad in the car. So that was it. They completely rowed about that and agreed they would have to sell the car because she couldn't bear to be in a car with Dad driving because they'd all die and hit buses. And he couldn't bear to be in a car with her and she couldn't bear to drive with him next to her because it was too stressful. So they gave up. But that was actually a terrible idea because their life shrank the moment they stopped driving. And they stopped coming around to grandkids and blah, 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 blah. A whole bunch of things stopped because they were not mobile.
Yeah.
And they were constrained, to their shopping options were restricted. They could only go on buses, et cetera, et cetera. So when I'm 80, that's why I'm saying, why would I still drive? Because like your life.
Okay.
I mean, unless you live in central London and everything's on a tube or whatever, but we don't, right? So we live in a world where we need cars.
Yeah.
So,
so will you get your cataracts done in time before you scrape the side of the bus?
Well, I haven't got any cataracts currently.
No, but when you get them, will you get them done?
Well, I'll do whatever I need to do to carry on driving. So so that's one thing I would definitely do in IT.
Yeah, well, I'd like you to carry on driving because you're right. It would shrink the world. So if I was doing something that I wanted to do now, I would think I would be doing at 80. I'd like to think that I would be able to exercise in some shape or form.
Right.
Because now that I've started to explore, aging, etc., I'm getting thrown all sorts of stuff on social media about women in their 80s, late 70s, still being able to lift weights. It would be nice to know. I would like to be able to bend down, lift a weight, do weights, but for more stuff than just, being able to weight train. I'd like to be able to get up and down off my chair without groaning. I'd like to be able to get in and out of the car without groaning, all those kind of things. So I'd like to be able to be flexible and mobile as much as possible.
And be able to do 20 pull-ups on a chat bar.
Well, I still can't do a pull-up, but yeah, we're working on that one.
So
yeah.
So having established then that we have varying expectations of our capabilities at age, right?
Yeah.
And that each of the generations also has a varied view on when old even starts.
Yeah.
It's probably worth sharing with the listeners that I've recently been part of a survey on aging.
Yeah.
So there was a survey run by the Silver Marketing Association, and that gets published this July. I don't know the exact date, but it's in July.
Yeah, it's July the 9th, I think.
So this topic is front of mind right now for us because we got a preview of the report because I was in it. And it's surfacing a bunch of surveys that it's pulling together and looking at stereotypical views of the values that those generations hold and whether those things are true and whether they're represented in the media. And some of the things that I've found out in both the Silver Marketing Association survey and the Ipsos surveys behind it are going to blow your mind.
Ooh, so blow my mind then.
So here goes. Let's start with attitudes to technology.
Okay. Yeah, because we are fumbly, don't know what we're doing.
Well, allegedly.
What your mum was.
Right? But okay. She's dead now. They can't interview dead people. So in the survey that Ipsos did a survey called the AI Monitor.
Okay.
Right. And older adults, when asked the question about whether they did or didn't have a good understanding of AI and the use of the tools, 58% said, yes, we do.
Use the tools.
No, we do have a good understanding of what it is, what it can do, and what it could be used for.
Okay.
Right. So they're not blind to the concept. Now, there's also a lot of doom mongering about how the advances in technology will destroy our lives and will be ultimately negative for mankind and the future for young people is terrible, blah blah blah. So when asked the question, do you think the advances in technology are destroying your life? 55 to 74-year-olds 15% of them said, okay, yeah, there's a threat there. Yeah. But other than that, we're actually quite optimistic about the use of technology.
Okay.
25 to 34-year-olds, a quarter of them were worried about the technology. So older people less worried about it, less scared about it at the moment. Don't know why, but that's coming out. Other progressive views that older generations are holding. So there was boomers were interviewed about views on trans and discrimination. And they came out as being more supportive of protecting trans people's rights than was expected.
Wow.
In the modelled survey. And then...
Because we've been told that we don't understand them.
No, I know. And then the whole gender stereotype thing about male-female roles, you know, the blue job, pink job thing?
Yeah.
So they interviewed a range of generations, boomers, Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, and said, okay, do you think a man who stays at home to look after his children is less of a man because he's, you know, taking a supporting role rather than being primary breadwinner?
Right.
So the findings from that were absolutely bizarre. So when they asked men of a Gen Z generation,
right,
do you think staying at home to look after your kids makes you less of a man?
Yeah.
28% of Gen Z males said, yeah, it does. When you ask the same question of millennials, it was the low 20s%. When you get to Gen X, it was 18%. When you got to boomers, do you think staying at home to look after children makes you less of a man? Only 12% said yes, which means that boomers were more supportive of males taking a active parenting role than Gen Z.
But that's not what we're being fed. We're being fed that we're old timers, that we're living in the past, that we are slightly misogynistic, and yet we are much more relaxed about the masculine, feminine, mum, dad roles.
That's what the Ipsos survey tells you.
Interesting.
That's what the Ipsos survey tells you. So, I mean, interesting in particular, I suppose, about the Gen Z male ideology thing, because, I mean, we are also seeing a more conservative kind of subculture emerge there, right, within Gen Z, and you've also got that whole Andrew Tate manosphere
That's
problem,
scary,
right?
Yeah.
So you could argue maybe the survey is distorted because Gen Z are being manipulated by a dogma around the manosphere to reinforce traditional stereotypical roles.
It's another podcast series rather than ours because that's a different generation. But we go back to the whole thing is like men don't necessarily, or young men don't necessarily know where they fit in. Therefore, the likes of Andrew Tate have been able to take over and tell them where they fit in. So that we would never know whether or not that is shown in the survey. But the thing that the survey is for our generation is the fact that actually we are not as male chauvinistic and as stuck in our ways and old fashioned as we thought or we are made out to be.
And do you know what? It's not actually necessarily just a male issue either, because that same question that they surveyed across generations, they asked women
about what? About whether or not they
about whether women thought that a man who stayed at home to look after kids was less of a man.
Right.
Very similar thing. So females in the boomer generation, only 9% thought it was a negative.
Mm-hmm.
You get up to millennials, it was like 22% thought it was less manly.
Interesting.
And then female Gen Zs was about 18%. So they were actually more progressive than the millennials, and they weren't as bad as the male Gen Zs.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a male Gen Z thing going on there. Don't know how.
No.
But anyway, so here's another thing that's going to blow your mind.
Another thing.
About aging.
Okay.
And about people's perception of what you can and can't do at aging.
Okay.
So in 2019, Starbucks in Korea started an experimental program to train seniors who were at retirement age as baristas as part of an ageless workforce promotion.
Okay.
And they trained 2,000 seniors
to
be baristas. And that was deliberately targeting an older generation. Weird. You don't see that every day. So if you had to work until 70, if you had to work, you're forced to work to 70, what would your dream job be working until 70?
So it's interesting. I mean,
do you want to be a barista in Korea?
No, not really.
No, okay.
But we've got to work until we're 67, haven't we, before we get our state pension?
Yeah, you do. But let's imagine you were forced to work to 70. What would you do if you had to work to 70?
I'd do this.
What is this?
Podcasting and talking about aging.
Right. Okay.
I get paid for it.
Yeah, we don't get paid currently.
No.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so other than that, is there another job? No, that actually gets you money.
No, I don't think so. I really enjoy the exploration into aging and everything that goes with aging, and I'm learning so much. So why wouldn't I want to do this job and get paid?
Okay, fair
enough. What about you?
So I do have one job that I would do if I had to do a job. If I was if it was like, you have no choice, the money is not the issue, you have to go do this job. And we've talked about it before.
We have talked about it before.
Work in the record shop.
Yeah, I know.
Should we do a promo for it? Banquet Records, Kingston.
In Kingston.
I'm coming for you, Banquet Records. At some point in time, in the not too distant future, I should be knocking on your door, going, could I please come and abuse young people verbally as they buy records that I don't agree with?
The grumpy old man in the corner.
Yeah.
But it's not just that, because Banquet Records have got a whole community going with getting guests in to do mini gigs locally.
Huge local
really
network,
good
massive
bands who have got a new record out. They come and
I would genuinely like it.
Yeah, you'd
I would actually enjoy it.
Love it, absolutely. So the whole thing is proving that aging is that we are older and we're past it and over the hill, and we're not. We might be older. We're certainly not past it in our thought process and our beliefs, and we're certainly not over the hill, because we are trainable, obviously, as shown in Korea, and we could work.
And those stats evidence that the myths are unfair and underrepresentative.
Yeah. Now, before we go any further, I've got to ask you, please, would you like, follow, subscribe to When the Fudge Die Become Old? Share it with your friends. We're on Apple, Spotify, Deezer, Audible and YouTube, amongst others. So, yeah, we'd be really grateful if you could do that. Thank you very much.
Cool. So, now we've looked at the stereotypes. Let's talk about the money.
Yeah, so I've got some stats here, which I'm probably going to read about the significance of the over 55 purchasing power.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think there's definite mismatch on terms of advertising and what's being sold to us and what we're buying. And the silver economy is now a primary growth engine for the world economy in terms of marketing to us. The global market currently is $330 billion. Dollars, and it's looking to grow to $680 billion in 2035. So the aging population is going to be one of the biggest shifts in economics, basically, as we get older, which means that the 55 plus cohort is going to be the wealthiest cohort. And yet we're still not getting this right. And you were involved back to that survey that you were involved in to talk about the advertising as well. But it's also the fact that if we are aging better and more healthily and lasting longer, then retirement is not what it is. We'd cut off, we stop working at 67. Yeah. It becomes a hybrid of what do we do for the next 30 years? Do we do a semi-retirement role, etc.? So the whole thing is changing and pivoting, and it doesn't look like the marketing and the advertising
is keeping pace.
It's keeping pace with us because we do not view ourselves as being old, do we?
No. And given the scale of that economic potential, then companies and ad agencies are going to have to do a better job of exploiting that, because, as you said, the population trend is one directional. Right?
Yeah, we're getting older,
and the proportion of wealth is significant.
Yeah,
so you can't avoid it. So I was recently interviewed for a survey on that exact topic. And so how did that come about? Well, so because you were nominated last year for an award at the Advantages of Age Awards in November for the podcast.
I was a finalist, but I didn't quite get there.
And when we went there, and I went as your +1 / new co-host.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people at that awards ceremony were female.
They were female. Yes, you're right.
And I was very much in the minority.
You were.
And you introduced me to the Silver Marketing Association guys because you were already going to some of their events, weren't you? And so they mentioned that they were going to do this survey about midlife men and their attitudes towards brands.
Yeah.
And as I was a man and I was there, they were like, "Oh, would you be interested?" I was like, "Yes, I would indeed." So I do occasionally do a bit of shopping.
Occasionally, you love it more so than any other man. So it shows well.
So I did do a quite sort of in-depth survey, and some of the findings around how men associate with brands and with marketing were quite interesting, actually, and a bit surprising. So one of the overwhelming themes that I saw written up in the report, which I initially thought was just me, because that was how I answered a particular question that they had in their survey. But it turns out it's lots of people. I'm not quite as special as I thought I was. But it's that over 55 age men seem to almost unanimously reject the concept of a senior identity. The people who did this particular survey were up to 70. They were 55 to 70.
Yeah.
And to the point earlier on about everybody thinks aging is some point
in the future.
None of them thought they were old. Right, so they all rejected the idea of a senior identity. They don't see themselves as old. Now I have the same problem myself, but I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
And they had some other interesting stats. So only 1.5% of TV characters are over the age of 65. So that's interesting in terms of a representation thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
If you're going to have 2.1 billion of them,
you need it.
So you got what, a quarter? You said a quarter, didn't you? A quarter of the world, a third of the world in Europe and whatever is going to be over that age, and yet only 1.5% of TV characters over 65.
They're not represented.
8% of ads globally in the past 3 years featured a mature adult in a primary role. So that's 92% don't feature a mature adult.
But when they do, it's 10 a lady or 10 a man or...
We'll go there in a minute.
Yeah.
So that means 92% of the ads are really using essentially millennials or Gen Zs, right, as the cast members of whatever the advertisement actually is. And they're not really targeting the people with the money in that particular segment particularly well. And when the men were interviewed, so like I say, how do you feel about that? When you are in these adverts, when you're in the 8%, what are those adverts and what do they depict you as? And they said they were made to feel either depicted as being decrepit or inactive, and targeted for products like elasticated trousers, reclining sofas, funeral plans, life insurance, and saga cruises.
Nothing funky.
Nothing particularly exciting.
That's not you. You're funky. You're Harley Davidson, Couples, Belstaff, Quicksilver.
So they've got a bit of a way to go.
The advertising agencies. They do. They absolutely do. Because if they want to grab that spend, they've got to start treating us in the way we perceive ourselves.
Right. So you've got this like quarter of the world's population thing with a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And when in the survey they were interviewing men about, well, like you said, how do you spend your money then? So who makes the decisions in your household and what do you make them on?
Yeah.
And therefore, how much influence can these companies even have with you about how you spend your money? So the male partner, and this might not be too surprising, typically saw himself as driving the purchases for things like finance, home finance, DIY, technology, cars, and any personal sports and hobby equipment. So that's where they're making decisions about spending money. They were asked a whole bunch of questions about brand loyalty and what would make them change brand and how would you do that. Punchline is they're actually, as a community, they're quite brand loyal generally. Right. Men of that age group, 55, 70, whatever it is that they're buying, they're buying it and they're pretty brand loyal and it's hard to move them.
Right.
And they'll only switch brands in response to either a decrease in quality, so the manufacturers making cheaper crap, poor customer service. They really hate poor customer service. Mm-hmm. So John Lewis is laughing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's their thing, right? Customer service. Occasionally for a massive discount, and it has to be massive, they'll switch brand and buy something from somewhere else. But largely, they are very, very brand loyal. And they view advertisements as driving product awareness, but not purchasing decisions.
So they're really difficult to get a hold of.
Yeah,
if you've got
and the thing that's going to make them switch, consumer research. They do a lot of research.
You do that.
It's the whole sort of, survey, Google, which type thing, and customer reviews, price purchase. They put a huge amount of weight in customer reviews. A lot on
trust as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's how they make their buying decisions. So that I thought was just really, really interesting. Yeah. But I mean, that does mean that if you are marketing to that generation, you have to be like really, really conscious of the parameters that are going to move the dial in terms of those purchasing decisions.
Yeah, but even though we don't view ourselves as old, we are aging. And as we are aging, there are stages in that aging process that we do have to start learning to navigate. And so we don't want to be associated with the decrepit tribe. No. We want to be funky, but we're still navigating the approaching retirement. We're still navigating financial readiness for that retirement. And we're still navigating, actually, whether or not when we get there, is retirement a thing, or has it become obsolete? So there's quite a lot of stuff for us to work out when we come back to the way we're being advertised to and looked at as this old decrepit thing. We've got stacks of stuff we still haven't worked out.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's a good point. And so you can't just say everybody over age X is old.
No.
And you can't just say everybody over age X is retired, because neither of those things are true anymore. And there's a bunch of other surveys been done by actually McKinsey, believe it or not, as well as Ipsos and the World Economic Forum. And they've concluded that actually this is no longer a single life stage. And
you don't get to 65 or 67.
Yeah. It's not just old. It's not just one flavour of stuff. And that the way you go about navigating what comes next in the rest of your life, not defined solely by age. So age as a segmentation tool to understand your audience, crap. And it's fragmenting into a bunch of tribes, which they've characterized.
Okay.
And they said
the tribes. You've given them to us here.
I am. Yes, we're going to go through those. So they've been shaped by behaviors. And they said those behavioral cohorts define more about how people will behave and operate and live their lives. And therefore, if you're trying to sell to them, you need to understand this. Okay. And they've looked at your attitude to health, finances, and your general physical capability. Okay. So the silver economy and the segmentation of it, that segmentation was done across a 1,500 consumer audience that they interviewed, came up with 4 tribes.
They're all over 60, you said here. So it's all over 60.
Over 60, yeah.
And they were looking at United States, United Kingdom, Italy, and Japan.
Correct.
Great.
Across those 4 countries.
So I've got 2 and you've got 2. Shall we?
Yeah, so let's go through those 4 groups then. So do you want to start with
Yes, I do.
Your
so
group?
number 1 is simple contentment tribe. And these people are content with their life. They feel calm. They're financially secure. They want to keep life simple when it comes to possessions. They believe in aging gracefully without resorting to drastic measures like cosmetic surgery, etc. They want to connect with family and friends, and they would exercise if they had more time.
Okay. Sounds very wholesome. Second group, strivers. People who are more driven, more consumeristic, and still feel a need to look good in public. They're also they feel financially secure. They enjoy buying things. And to some extent, they believe that what they own defines them, defines who they are. They admire people who own expensive cars, clothes, or homes. And they actually actively want to exercise more. Again, they need more time. but they're driven to exercise more because they want to maintain a good image and look good.
Okay.
That's the strivers. On to the strugglers.
Strugglers, yeah. So these people are people who feel stressed and are interested in having more access to mental health and well-being services. These individuals do not feel financially secure and worry that they do not have enough for retirement. Their stress is partly due to a mismatch between their finances and their consumeristic attitudes. And despite not feeling financially secure, these adults report that buying things gives them pleasure and they admire people who own expensive items.
And then lastly, the Chill Indulgence tribe, who can be described as happy-go-lucky. Adults in this segment report buying only the things that they think they need.
Right.
They're not necessarily concerned about how they appear in a public sense, and are not impressed by people who own expensive things. They enjoy simple things in life, good food, without consideration as to whether the food itself is actually healthy or not. And they report they would watch more TV if only they had more time. So there you go. You've got the simple contentment, the strivers, the strugglers, and the chill indulgence.
So where do you think you fit into that then?
Well, if I had to pick, I'd pick striver. I'm closer to a striver than I am to anything else, I think. But yeah, I'd go striver.
Okay.
And you?
I think we'd have to have a category 5 for Joe, because I don't fit any of those.
Because you're special.
Because I'm special, I don't fit any of those.
Fair enough.
I could pick out a little bit. No. Yeah, I don't think I feel. I don't relate to any of those.
So maybe we should ask our listeners at home to have a think about that.
Absolutely.
Are you a struggler, a striver, simple contentment, or chill indulgence?
Absolutely. And don't forget to like or subscribe and share this podcast. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. See you next week.